on, you guys? Craftsman Crusher here, back with another video, and today we're going to be prepping Craftsman Crusher for an ice racing event that I am going to be attending with my buddy Rob at RSM Motorsports, I think it is. Whatever it is, there'll be a link to his Facebook, public Facebook, down in the description. So today what we're doing, I got a 3.5-inch pulley that we're going to be putting on the Peerless 820 that I have for it. Yes, it doesn't have the EC hub. That is the one that I broke in Michigan. That one, I did a dissection video, but lost the file somehow. Long story short, completely and utterly destroyed my shift keys. When I go to rebuild that, I'll show you. This is the one I temporarily threw up. This is actually the one that I was going to run when Rob came over here the first time. I had to put the MSC back in because while we were out on the trail, the C-clip that holds the axle into the bowl gear popped out, so you could basically pull this axle out if you wanted to. That's all fixed, locked, welded locker. It's got ROMS gears. So run in February is when the race is, so I'm kind of running short on time. Gotta get moving. So this is a mod. This is a mod that I recommend everybody do with their pulleys. Find bolts that are the same thread patches where your Allen bolts go in. Because with the Allen bolts, I find they vibrate out a lot easier than these bolts because you can get more leverage with a ratchet or a wrench and tighten them down and make sure they're on there really good. Yes, as you will see, the keyway does get a little worn down on the bottom, but you know what? It's better than losing your pulley out on the trail and then being totally screwed. So we're going to get this on, and we're going to have to swap this transmission back into the Craftsman because I had to put the MST back in to move it because this transmission was getting harder and harder to turn. I thought the internals were done, but come to find out, all it was is there was a rock wedged in this little hanging piece. There was a rock wedged right between this and this bolt, and it was rubbing on the brake disc, so it was making it harder and harder to turn. So, stupid little simple fix, but let's go over to the Craftsman. So here's the Craftsman. As you see, small tires on there from the MST. I don't think I updated you guys on this, but my hood is broke because I took this thing over to my cousin's house to show him what this thing can do and what it's like, as he's getting into mud mowers. And he took me to some new trails, unfamiliar with the terrain. I ended up flipping over. But I need to order some urgent things. This carburetor is toast. It does not run properly. This thing runs like crap ever since I flipped it, so I think something got messed up in the car. I got it cleaned. I did a couple rebuilds on it. Couldn't figure it out. I was told it might be the springs. You have like a inlet spring and an outlet spring that allows your fuel to go in, but I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna say the hell with it. Order a new carb and call it done. Other than that, the engine runs good. As you see, I got a hand throttle in there because my the bicycle cable snapped on me, so I just said screw it, through a hand throttle on there. That's temporary until I get another bicycle cable. Yeah, so the plan for today is to get that 3-inch pulley on the 820, swap the 820 into, take the MST out, put the 820 back in. I have some turf savers that have 1-inch IDs that are for an 820. I got those from Creeper Carl on YouTube. Shout out to him. I'm gonna be filling them with oil. So what that does is it makes the rubber swell up and it gets thicker. So then I can stud the tires, and I'm gonna be doing that with some front ones as well. Not these, because putting these on my wheel horse. So that's the plan for today. So let's get moving, because before I know it, the race is gonna be here. Another tip when putting your bolts on, you'll know when it's on good enough when you can grab the pulley and you can lift the whole transmission from it without it coming off. So the pulley's good. Another thing that is needed, which I don't think I've ever had on the Craftsman Crusher other than when I first built it, is brakes. So I got an 820 brake, and there go my bolts. Got an 820 brake caliper here. I had to use 3 of them to make one, believe it or not, because that's how overrated brakes are. But anyways, so the design that I'm using here is totally, I'm taking this from Rob, so shout out to him for this idea. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your brake caliper. You can either bolt it or weld it. I'm gonna bolt it because my welder's broke. So what you bolt it on here. You take a long piece of steel and you find the length that you need, and what you do is you use that bolt, bore it out or weld it, whatever you gotta do. You bolt it to this adapter here, and then what you do is, let me go show you. It's over here on the fender. You gotta figure out where that's gonna come out. You cut a hole, whether you use a plasma cutter or a grinder, and then you make sure your lever comes up through here, so when you're sitting on it, your shifter's right here and your brakes are somewhere here, so you have like an e-brake, whether it's here or here. I gotta figure that out. So enough talk, let's get to work. Alright, and a short time later, I got the brake caliper on. I put some PB Blaster in this itself when I assembled everything to keep it from rusting. And these brakes work so good that it's tight to go there, but once you go there, this thing, I can't get it to spin at all. So I know for a fact these brakes are going to work good. Now I'm going to work on swapping transaxles, and I'm going to get this back in the tractor. And once that's done, we'll mock up a e-brake, beam or pole or whatever. Then we'll work on cutting the fenders and find a belt and wait for the carb and the ice picks to come in and hope for the best. Time later, we got the 820 in. I actually found out a little bit of an issue. This hole right here, that one, I took this 820 out. This is the one that was out of the Murray GT. Somehow those threads got a little stripped out, so that bolt won't stay fully tight. So I got it as tight as I can, put a little Loctite on there, because I'm just going over a pond. And then once the pond is over, my plan is to tear this whole tractor apart and rebuild it, because it was kind of glued together the first time it was built with the 820 and the twin. So it's gonna get redone, bigger and better. So for now, we're just gonna leave it like it is, and gonna take a little easy. The Loctite hopefully will help. The 3 inches on, got the 5 inch on the front. Got to go put the new belt on, and see if it fits. Then we'll temporarily throw the turf savers that I'm gonna use on. We're not gonna stud them yet because I want to get used to the gearing a little bit. And if it all goes good, we'll take you all on a little bit of a test drive. Guys, it is a couple days into the future. If the quality of this video is better, because I got a brand new phone, and I was actually waiting on some parts to finish this thing. See, I got a new carburetor, I got some ice screws, I also got new seals. So I will be tearing this old carb off and putting the new one on, and hopefully that goes smooth, because this carburetor has been giving me all sorts of issues ever since I flipped it over. I tore it down, cleaned it, I got it ultrasonic cleaned, I did new plugs, new filter, air filter, I did a new fuel filter, even though it's covered in mud because I drove it a couple times, and it didn't do anything. It only ran when the choke was practically halfway on, so hopefully this solves my issues. And even if it doesn't, at this point, I'm just going to say screw it, and I'll run it for the races. But I'll get back to you when this car... In a short time later, we got the carburetor off. It is sitting right here. We're going to be putting that one on. And I got a couple questions of if I have a plan to fix that. That is my PCV tube that obviously goes up in the air box. When I flipped it over, what plugged the oil full of oil, the motor full of oil, sorry, yeah, bad English, was it burped up through the PCV system. So my plan is I'm going to try to mount somewhere, maybe back here or down here. I'm going to try to mount a catch can. I'm going to cut the hose here, so this goes up into the air box. Catch can will be roughly here, so the tube will go to the catch can, and then it'll connect to this, which will be up into the air box, so it'll still breathe, but it won't ruin carburetors when you flip it over, because it's gonna happen. It's not an if, it's a when. So that's for a later video, though. I'll show you guys how to do that, because I got to come up with a setup how to mount it anyways. But for now, that is our focus. Well, really, that is our focus. So I'll get that on and show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Guys, there it is. It's finally on. I still have to hook up the fuel to the line right there, I guess. Bad English again. Went on easily. I love that it comes with brand new gaskets. I still have that one right there for the airbox. But as you can see, like I said before, brand new filter. I do need to adjust the idle. I'm going to try to go by eye. Focus. Come on. Like this, because this is how good my idle was. So I'm going to try to copy that. Hopefully, man, the New Hampshire wind is really picking up. New England weather. But yeah, so that went easier than I was thinking it was. So I'll finish getting it back together, try to do the idle from there, and we'll see how it runs. Or if it runs. Guys, there we go. Carb swap is totally done. Hopefully it's good. I got my belt here, my pull start belt. So I'm going to sit you guys down, give her a couple pulls, and hopefully it starts. Well, that's not good. Well, you saw it was running great, but it was pissing gas out the fuel pump, which is weird. So I'm gonna look into that and figure out why it's doing that, because that is weird. But at least it was running. So fast forward a couple days into the future. As you saw in that last clip, there was gas pissing out the front of the carb, the brand new one that I just said that I put on. So I figured it out, and those 4-bolt carbs, brand new out of the box, can have a bad fuel diaphragm, which is what that one had. So I talked to my buddy Redneck Tractors George. He helped me figure this out. The original carburetor that was on the Craftsman, or the Oppie that's now in the Craftsman. So you have 2 springs. One goes behind your flap gasket in the fuel pump. One goes on the outside. But when you take it apart, it is so easy to lose it, and that is what I had. So those act as a one-way valve, and the fuel is pumping. It wasn't pumping properly. So the original carb has been the fuel and springs and all that's all been rebuilt back on this, so it runs great. Right now I'm working on connecting my brakes so I can actuate them through a lever, whether somewhere right there. I'm using a Flux 125 titanium welder, which I actually got pretty recent from Redneck Tractors himself. He found it in Michigan, got a great deal, and got it for me and shipped it down. So thanks again, buddy, for that. So right now, what my plan is, I'm going to take this piece of steel, which does not weigh that much. Let me get down here. And I took the wire brush, made this nice and bare. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, weld it directly right there. So when that is welded on there, theoretically, with my other piece, what I'll do is take this and figure out where it's going to come out on the fenders on this side, weld it to it like this, and wherever it'll come through, I'll be able to reach up and actuate my brakes. I do need to do test fitting to make sure it's going to clear the tire, but I'll figure all that now, and maybe I'll even be able to get some welding for you guys. I'm not the best, but hopefully it'll hold. I'm just doing a race. I'm going to be doing another full rebuild of this tractor, because even though it did pretty decent with the twin, the 820, there's still a number of issues that went wrong that I didn't do the first time that I'm going to redress. So there's going to be another rebuild series of this tractor coming soon, but we're not going to worry about that for now. Oh yes, and I got the 3.5 in the back and my 5 on the front. The belt that I had that was brand new didn't end up fitting. It was too big. So I just searched through my drawer of surplus of random belts and junk and found one. So yeah, I'll be right back to you guys and do some welding. Well, I thought the camera was recording, but clearly it wasn't. But I got that arm there. I got it tack welded into place. Like I said, not the greatest welder, but enough that it should hold. So now I'm going to have to take this end here, clean that up with the wire brush so it's nice and clean, figure out where this is gonna come through, and why I did like the 6 inches here is so I like had an adjustment if it was too close here, too far, like, so hopefully that's enough. I can always add more if I need to, but like I said, this is just temporary up until I can get a professional brake system, because I plan to do disc brakes, because the stock brakes on any mud mower, they wear out so fast and it's just not a pain. Let me turn this off. This is super loud. So I'm going to hopefully get it somewhere in this area. Here. If it has to be here, I'll have to make sure it doesn't hit the shifting bezel or whatever, the shifting cap, whatever. So I'm gonna get to marking, measuring, and cutting. So well, there we go, guys. It was too hard to get a camera angle, so I just said screw it, and I welded this together. Welds aren't pretty, but you know, they'll hold for what I'm gonna be doing. Eventually, when I do the full rebuild on this tractor, I'll redo the brakes. For now, this is just temporary. I need to do some more cutting up here, notch this out more so I get more grab on the brakes, but there's just enough play for it to not grab. Right here it starts to grab, so it was a go so far. I'm gonna take the grinder, cut a little bit more out, and test it, and if it all works, we'll finish studding the front tires, and this thing's ready for the ice race. Last part of this ice race prep is these. These are 1-inch tires. Shout out to Creepy Crawler on YouTube. At TTC, he gave me 2 of these. 1-inch rims for an 820 and tires. Thanks again, buddy. Really appreciate it. I bought these. I don't know what they would call ice studs or ice screws, and went through on both of these, every single tread block, and did them. Now I'm working on these front tires. That one needs to be plugged. There is a hole. And then this one has a slow leak overnight, but I'm not too worried about it because you can always because these tires are kind of junk, pretty dry rotted as you see. But unless these screws rip out or they break off, you can take them back out and reuse them in a tire. So I'll end up doing that eventually, but for now, since I don't have any to use, I'm just going to be using these. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout for the video that I make of the actual ice race. It's coming up in a few days. Hopefully be a pretty cool one. Gonna get some nice GoPro footage. I finally got my GoPro working, so yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.